sitting back and imagining the rainbow that's flowing over us, and the dreams that we dreams, and all that we imagined, and moving beyond our doubts and our fears, and stepping into that place of knowing that we are one with the divine, that as we bring forth our consciousness and our awareness into the world in which we are living, we know that the experience and the expression that we have is being manifested in each and every moment. Our message today is peace be with you, and I think that first of all, I'm hoping that it'll bring a whole new and different intent to our closing song when we sing the peace song at the end of the service. And I hope that it brings forth an idea that when we use that phrase, peace be with you, that it has a power that comes with that it's not something that we just randomly say, although probably oftentimes many of the phrases and the words that we use just seem to be a cliche. They just seem to be a phrase that we want to use, and there's not a whole lot of follow-up or intent that comes with that. It's like oftentimes when we use the phrase, we see each other and we say, oh, how are you? And it's kind of like, but I really don't want to hear your story. It's like, oh, how are you? And it's like you start in and the person goes, oh, I'm sorry I asked. It's like, it's like the intent is, there's something more that's behind that. And if we were to take the time to consider what it is that we really are asking, if we take the time to consider how much of it do I really want to get involved in at this time, then we may have a better experience going on in our life. So when we think about this idea that peace be with you, in the metaphysical term, peace is a way in which we resonate and express the power that is within. When we have peace of mind, and that's the metaphysical understanding, not the brain, but the peace of mind, that we are talking about this idea, this understanding that there is a power and a presence that's within us, and it operates through our intelligence, it operates through the mind, it operates through that awareness and our consciousness of who we are. And that the power that we bring into our expression, the power that we bring into the world is through the way in which we use our mind, the way in which we show up in our awareness and our consciousness, and how we interact with each other. So I would hope that when we now use that phrase, peace be with you, that we have an understanding that says that I want that power and that presence that I know that dwells within me, and I know that it's the same power and presence that dwells within you, and that when we acknowledge that and we recognize that within each other, that when I say to you, peace be with you, I want to express and I want the intent to be that the power and the presence within you is bringing forth every dream, everything that you are imagining, everything that you are desiring, all that you want into your life, a greater sense of health, a greater sense of joy and prosperity and wealth, and all that you desire is coming into your life right here and right now. And it's just easier to say, peace be with you, than to give all of that verbiage that goes along with it. Peace be with you as it's being brought forth in the guided meditation today in the Science of Mind magazine. Peace be with you is about that idea that we have dreams, that each of us has dreams that we want to bring something forth into our life, we want to manifest into our life. And it references the phrase that the master teacher, Jesus, said, peace be with you. And in that scripture writing, it's about a time and a place where, his disciples are asking him different questions. And one of the things that he says with them is that the poor are always going to be there. Suffering is always going to be there. Challenge is always going to be there. That's part of the experience of being in this human physical body, living here on this planet Earth, is that there's always going to be a challenge, that there is something here about this temporal world, that it's not the eternal, it's not the infinite, that it's here for an experience. And in that experience, in order to have that experience, there's going to be some pain and there's suffering. There's going to be, the poor. There's going to be the unenlightened. There's always going to be something going on. And yes, we should do something about that. And we are. Each of us, I know, in our individual lives, and I know as a community, I know that Joan is running this project about bringing some material and things down to the border for those who are down there in that place where they're limited and they're not receiving all of that they need. So we are doing something to try to make the world better, try to make the lives of other people better. And we're always trying to find a way in which we can enhance our own life. And as a community, we're trying to find a way in which we can enhance our beloved community as to what we are doing with the Center for Spiritual Living, Menifee Valley. And we do that, we do it through prayer, through our meditation, through our spiritual mind treatment, through the way in which we interact, the way in which we show up and become a part of this community. One of the things that we want to look at, we want to try to approach as we go through our lives is those things that seem to be limiting, those things that seem to be showing up as uncertainty and fear. And as I was preparing my talk for today and this idea of peace be with you, the thing that came up for me was, so what are some of my fears? And the first one that popped up into my awareness, and I think it's been kind of sitting in the back of my mind, and I haven't wanted to address it. And I think that if I don't, I know that if I don't address it, that it's going to gnaw away at the back of my mind all of that time. And what it shows up as is that after I had my heart attack, I really had this fear about what's left. What more can I possibly do? And every time I step out and I start to do something and I think, am I pushing myself too hard? It's like, will my heart be able to stand that? And there was a period of which I was going through a lot of uncertainty and a lot of fear and a lot of doubt about my own mortality, wondering if I was going to be able to last long enough to see our beloved community express and expand into something even more than it would happen. And so I was showing up in this place of trying to do what I could do, but always in the back of my mind it was kind of like, am I asking for too much? And so there was that gnawing away at the back of my mind is like, what if I don't have enough time? What if, tomorrow is my last day? And that can have a real negative effect on how you approach life. And I know that I was showing up with a big smile, and I know I was showing up with a lot of energy, but I always had that second thought in the back of my mind. And I thought, what if I shared that with the congregation? What would they do if I shared with you, oh my, I have a fear, I have an uncertainty, I have doubts, I have limitations in my own mind, in my own practice, in my own spiritual approach. And if I have those doubts and you know that I have those doubts, and you know that I have those fears, would you want me even to show up? Oh, thank you. Vulnerability is the new cool. Oh, I am so cool today because I am feeling so vulnerable. You know, I was thinking that at the end of this month, we're going to have our annual members meeting, and every year when you have an annual members meeting, you want to project some vision, some presence, some power, some imagination, some dream as to where we might want to go, and then the thoughts and the doubts and the fears start creeping into my mind, and I'm thinking, okay, use this as an opportunity to step up there and say, I know that this life is temporary in the physical being, but I also know that this life is eternal in the spiritual, infinite presence of who I am. And because I know that about myself, then I truly can know that about you. So, if that's true for me, then each of us is probably going through some challenge. Each of us probably has some moment of a doubt. Each of us probably has an opportunity where we can look at what we're doing and thinking, is that all there is? Oh, there's another song. Yeah. So we're thinking, you know, what more can I possibly do? So here's what I know about the truth. Here's what I know that is absolute. In our mind, in our consciousness, there is everything in the potential. Everything is possible. And that if we can show up in consciousness, the rest of it, Spirit will take and will handle. That we need to show up in the highest consciousness that we possibly can in each and every day, in each and every way in our life, and know and trust that that power and that presence is there. That doesn't mean that each of us as an individual has to go out and build a whole brand new structure, or that we have to somehow, you know, change the world and change the country or move anything around or about. But that if we show up in consciousness, if we show up in that place that says that I know that the power and the presence of the divine in its nature is pure love. And I know that love is the answer to everything. Love is the power and the presence that can move the world into a new experience, that it can move the world into a new expression, that it can move an entire nation into the possibility and the potential of all that it is meant to be in that great and magnificent presence. And that if that is true, then it can be true for this beloved community. That if we show up in consciousness, that if we show up in the awareness of who we are, if we show up that knowing our very nature is the nature of love, and that if we are loving ourselves, regardless of how powerful we think we are, loving ourselves, regardless of how much we might be in pain, or we may not be in the greatest of health, or we may not be in the greatest sense of prosperity and wealth and abundance. We are here to be the divine presence in that place of love. When I open up the service each week, I always say, this is a community, our beloved community, and where we can feel the love. And I know that so many times, so many of you have said, when I walk in, I feel the love. When I walk in, I feel safe. That's what I want to bring forth. That's what I want us to show up, even in our worst day. That if we can show up here and know that we're going to be loved, we're going to be safe, that we're going to be really okay in that moment, because we are a community that opens up to the possibility that each and every one of us is worthy and deserving of that love, then I know that we will create even something more magnificent that radiates beyond these walls, that radiates beyond this community, that radiates beyond even this planet Earth, that it moves out into the universe, that it begins to harmonize with the vibration of the universal love that is returning back to us and increasing and multiplying in our very presence each and every day, in all that we do, in all that we interact with, and all that we engage with, that it is bringing forth a greater sense of power and presence into that of who we are and what we are about. I know that this beloved community is meant to be here. I know that this beloved community expresses the love in all that it does, in the most minute ways. We don't have to be, this huge conglomerate that's going on. That we can be just who we are, because we know that we are already whole, perfect, and complete. And that we know that there's still something more to do. And today may be my last day. I don't know that. But I know that as long as I'm able to get up each and every morning, that I'm going to step out there and I'm going to do something that's going to bring forth a greater sense of love, a greater sense of power, and a greater sense of beauty in each and every moment. So when we get up and we see each other and we say, "Peace be with you," we're talking about that power and that presence. We're talking about that you should have dreams. You should imagine something better. And that as you have these dreams and as you continue to imagine the power and the presence that you are, then you will begin to change things. You will begin to attract more into your life. You will begin to see your dreams manifesting. So I'm hoping that you have many, many dreams. And I'm hoping that each and every day, more and more of them are coming into manifestation. And I also offer this, that if you have a dream, if you have something that you want to enhance and bring forth into your life, then let us know through our prayer ministry, so that we can support you in that. Not that we make it happen. You are the one that makes it happen. But you have to have the dream. And you have to be vulnerable to be able to express your dream to someone else, so that we can support you through that, through our prayer, through our spiritual mind treatment, through our consciousness, through our awareness, and then your dream will begin to show up. And it will begin to manifest. So let's step into that place of dreaming and imagining that there is something more, that there is something greater that is happening, that there is more love, more peace, more joy, more harmony going on throughout the world. And let's be careful of our thoughts and our words, and let's be mindful. So when you offer a phrase to somebody else, you know that there's some power behind that there is something that is moving beyond that, so that when you speak to another, that you are mindful, that you are meaningful, that you are purposeful, and that you are supporting them and having the expression of their life, that there is something greater about to happen. And so with that, I just offer this to you as we continue throughout this week and this day. May peace be with you. Namaste.